hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This
This is the Outdoor Rules Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. This is Mark here, and I'm going to try something a little different, a little out of my comfort zone. Mike is more the storyteller, but I'm going to start this podcast off with a little story. So to set the stage, it was in November of 2012, and I was hunting in Montana with Mike and Matt and Dad. We were out there on a deer hunt, and it was a pretty cold and snowy trip. We'd hunt pretty hard in the mornings and usually come back for lunch, and then go back out in the afternoons, evenings. And in some of that downtime, I was scrolling my Facebook, and a picture came across my feed, and it was of a beautiful woman with a very nice whitetail deer. Matt was sitting next to me on the couch, and I remember I said, "Look at this photo here." This girl I know named Rachel, and she shot this really nice buck in Illinois. And he goes, "Man, you should marry her." And I jokingly said, "Well, I don't think that's in the cards. I didn't really know Rachel. I was just Facebook friends with her and knew we had some mutual friends." But here we are, 13 years later, sitting across from me is my lovely wife, Rachel, who harvested that beautiful whitetail. Say hello, Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
Haha, very funny.
Hello.
So, it's funny to me how the world works. Who'd have thought? But here we are. And today we just wanted to kind of sit down. We haven't really had you specifically alone on the podcast, so Mike thought it'd be fun to hear some of your perspectives and talk about some of the things that you got into, what got you into the outdoors, growing up hunting and fishing, I guess, some.
Thanks, Mike.
I feel like the wives have put up with the brunt of this endeavor more than anyone. So, Rachel, the deer in Illinois, what do you remember about that buck?
Did you know I was in Illinois when you saw it on Facebook 13 years ago?
I think so. I think you had posted you were in Illinois.
Probably.
With a muzzleloader, right?
Yeah, inline muzzleloader.
Inline, right.
Yeah, I had a Thompson Center Encore that I had the inline barrel for. I went down there several years in a row, and that was the first year I had harvested a deer there. And funny enough, I shot that buck in the morning, and later that day, I went out in the evening and I shot a doe, and everyone else was out hunting, so I field dressed her and drug her back to camp myself. But that buck, still to this day, is the best buck I ever shot. I think he scored out at like 153 or 156 or something like that. But it was a chilly morning there too. I remember, walking out to that particular tree stand, and the grass is sparkling from the frost and crunching a little bit, and not being super familiar with that area. I'd only hunted there the year prior, and I never had access to that specific tree stand. But I remember the owners of the property, they usually never harvest anything less than 180 inches. But they said, "Hey, whatever you're happy with, that's what we want you to take." It could be a spike, it could be a basket rack 6-point, whatever's going to make you happy. So I didn't really have any goals set for myself. I didn't have any idea of a deer that I would shoot. I just figured I would know when I saw it. And, just first light and deer are starting to pour out into this field. There's a small buck there, small for Illinois. It would have been, average size for the area of Pennsylvania that we're in. And so I just watched them for a little bit. And then I remember seeing a doe run out further into the field than any of the other ones, and she kept turning around and looking behind her. So I kept glassing the tree line behind her, and sure enough, this buck, bigger than any buck I'd seen in person, steps out into the field, and he is stepping amongst other deer. So I didn't have a clear shot right from the get-go. I knew the second I saw him that I would take a shot at this deer if I was blessed with the opportunity. And sure enough, he turned broadside. I couldn't tell you the distance. I do remember that the rest of the guys were like, that's a pretty good poke for an inline muzzleloader. But I have no idea of the yardage there. But I remember him giving me just the most beautiful broadside shot. When you're sitting in your tree stand envisioning a buck walking out to you, and you're like, man, if there was a buck that I would shoot, would only walk to this point, give me a broadside shot. That deer did that for me. I shoot. I immediately reload my muzzleloader and climb down from the tree. But I do not go out to where I shot him immediately. I, made a mental marker of where it was. But I gave it about, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. And then I walked out. You could see where all the deer were. There were just tracks everywhere. It was like a highway. I put my pack there and I called the rest of the deer camp. And not everybody was, back there because it was still early in the morning. So I drove back and wanted to give it some time. Came back with one or two friends, and we tracked it, and he had only run 70 or 80 yards into the woods. And I've been blessed with the luck of every buck I've ever shot grows on the ground. I tend to think deer from the tree stand are smaller than they are. A lot of times I hear people saying the opposite, but
Ground shrink.
Sure.
Yep.
Nope, I have ground growth.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Yeah, walking up to that buck was just so hard to believe. I'd never seen anything like that buck in person. And yeah, I remember it not sinking in for a long time. But it was a really proud moment when everyone else comes back and you have the biggest buck in camp for a while. Now, a couple days later, a neighbor shot a non-typical 193-inch.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't fit both of your hands around the base of its antlers. But
yeah. I would have guessed that deer was every bit of 160.
And he might have been. It probably depends. It probably depends who gave me the scoring.
Well, that might be true.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely, in our family, as far as whitetails go, it's easily in the top three, if not the biggest. So it's a beautiful whitetail, and it's cool. It's a cool story. So growing up, you guys didn't really hunt. Like your dad didn't hunt, so you didn't grow up in a hunting family like we did. But your brother Dan got into hunting, and then you followed in his footsteps and kind of drug your dad along.
Yeah, Dan had gotten into waterfowl before he got into anything else by himself. I know that when he was probably 14, he expressed interest in deer hunting, and my dad had connections with buddies in, I think it was Cambria County. I don't remember the county, but so they went up there a few opening days of rifle seasons of several years in a row, and I remember wanting to be along for that and never being given the opportunity. It was like, oh, this is an old boys club. There's no other girls that are going to this, so it would just be awkward and uncomfortable for you and probably for them. So, but my dad, through people at church, he got a connection to hunt deer on a farm, probably only 5 minutes down the road from our house. And he would go out with me. Obviously, I did my hunter safety course and things like that, but Dad and I would go out, and I remember being with him shooting a doe, and that might have been him the season before I got my license. I was probably 14 when I went out with him, and he shot a doe, and I remember just thinking it was such a cool experience. And, not shying away from it. And I might have even done half of the deer gutting for that one. As you know, that's kind of continued in our family. I think I've gutted deer for every single rural boy there is, starting with the nephews up to Poppy. And I got yours last year when you weren't feeling so hot.
For me last year.
So, yeah, that's kind of been...
I don't think you gutted one for Mike yet.
Well, maybe this muzzleloader season.
Don't tell Caitlin. And maybe Robert this rifle season. That'd be cool.
That
if
would
Robert,
be amazing.
Robert can get one. You can gut Robert's first one.
Yeah.
That'd be neat. So then you kind of you just kind of took it and ran with it, right? You got into waterfowl hunting and
Yep.
and stayed deer hunting and
I got into waterfowl hunting, stayed in deer hunting. I ended up pro staffing for a couple companies in the waterfowl side of things, and that was fun. It gave me a lot of opportunities to hunt, all over the county, different states. I was never any good at calling. I would just, go along and take photos and videos for Instagram at the time. But, I just really enjoyed the fellowship of it in the outdoors. But when it came to deer hunting, I was usually by myself. When I was old enough to sit by myself, my dad was kind of step back, and he's like, hey, this is the thing you want to pursue. By all means, I'll support you, but I don't personally have interest in it. He loves to eat it.
I don't think I knew he shot a doe. I don't really see him. I've never been exposed in our 13 years of being together. I don't know that I've ever been around him harvesting any animal. As much as he loves critters, like, not that he's opposed to hunting. I can't see him.
Yeah, no, he loves to eat them.
Yeah, right.
But he's not he doesn't need to be the one to do the shooting. He'd much rather be along and like I like to do. They like to document. He's, I followed in his footsteps with photography, so he's always enjoyed that. But I was there for my mom shooting her first deer, which was pretty traumatic experience for her. But she picked up a rifle again. We went down to Florida, and she and I both shot alligator and boar. So that was really fun to do with them.
Yeah. And then you had spent some time, helping out with some guides out west in hunting season. You've always kind of had careers that have given you some flexibility, which is nice. So you spent some time helping out Cody Carr. Cody Carr, yep.
Cody and Kalis Carr in Plains, Montana. Got connected with them through friends and really blossomed a relationship with Kalis. And they had 3 little girls at the time, and how long ago that was, 2 of them are now married. So, but I would go out with them during elk season. I've did maybe once in archery, once in rifle maybe, but yeah, I would go out there and I didn't guide or anything, but I would help with the girls. I would help with feeding the hunters and, running errands to Missoula to stock up on groceries to feed the hunters for that week and things like that. But I always enjoyed my time out there, and I always had a camera in hand, even, the junky one that I had back then. But yeah, I never needed to be the one pulling the trigger or letting the arrow fly, but I always enjoyed documenting as much as I did the harvesting.
How old were you when you shot your first buck? Was that the Potter County buck?
Potter County buck was my first buck. I was 17.
17, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful whitetail too. Then you won like the big buck contest at the
big buck contest. CJ still has my trophy.
That's right. Where was it? Do you remember what bar that was at?
Bar?
Wasn't the big buck contest through a bar?
No, the big buck contest was Mannheim Sportsman's Club.
Oh, through Mannheim Sportsman's Club. Yeah, and that's a beautiful whitetail as well.
Yeah.
And it's funny, our cabins. I don't know if we've told this story.
We haven't told this story. Let's tell the story.
So, the first, 6 months Rachel and I were dating, we both decided to get into ice fishing together. That was my introduction to ice fishing, was trying to impress a girl with how much knowledge I had of ice fishing, which was none. I think I borrowed gear from Frank, and we bought a bunch of stuff. And Valentine's Day weekend, we decided we were going to go up and ice fish some of the lakes up near my cabin. So I worked. It was a Friday, something like that. I worked, and we left, and it started snowing. I'll never forget this. It started snowing like the minute we hit 81. And it took like 6 hours to get to the cabin because we could only ever go like 50 or 60 miles an hour. So we pull in, we go up the hill, and get off the main drag and onto the macadam road. And just about the time we're hitting the dirt road, you looked at me, and it's midnight. You looked at me and go, I know where we are. And I'm like, oh, sure you do. Okay. She's like, no, I know where we are. My old cabin's just down this road. She said, keep going. So we drove to the end of the run, and sure enough, there was your old cabin.
Yep.
And we'd been going to the same cabins in Potter County, or not the same, but we've been going to cabins in Potter County that were only a few miles apart for all of our childhoods.
Yeah.
So.
I, many, many years spent at that cabin. My parents had for, I don't know how many years they'd had it, but I do remember riding four-wheeler up and down the dirt road past your cabin so many times. I'd ride the whole length of Big Moore's Run on my four-wheeler and turn around and ride back. And I remember specifically looking back in the woods and, seeing that there were people there, because the cabin that sits in front, it's a unique cabin, so you notice it. And I remember seeing people there. So I probably rode past my husband outside playing in the creek. Didn't even know it, but I learned to drive on those back roads and all kinds of things. So yeah, it was a funny little part of our story.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an important part of our story because, it's a place that we both have so much love for, an area we have so much love for, and so many fond memories. So it was nice having that connection that we can talk about those places and similar experiences. So you'd mentioned your dad in photography. Out of college, you actually had started working for your dad, right?
Yes.
And he has a PR firm.
Yes.
And he writes articles for
plumbing and mechanical, HVAC, that whole industry. Yeah, I went to Millersville, Hack first, and then Millersville for print journalism. And working straight out of college for my dad's public relations firm. I learned pretty quickly that I wasn't super passionate about writing about plumbing and mechanical manufacturers and, getting contractors on the phone that have a million other things to do and giving the time to talk to some girl who wants to know, like, how this is connected to this and et cetera.
I mean, there were some cool experiences there, though. You got to write an article on a zoo that did heating in an elephant enclosure.
Yep, rhinoceros enclosure. Yeah,
rhinos.
For sure. And I wrote about a Frank Lloyd Wright house that was moved hundreds of miles down to Arkansas, and actually, the contractor, the manufacturer's rep for that article that I worked with, he sent me, because he knows that I hunt, he sent me a duck call that's made from wood out of the discards of that Frank Lloyd Wright house when they rebuilt it.
Yeah, it's a really cool duck call.
It's a beautiful duck call. Again, I
couldn't use it
to save my life, but it's on my shelf.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you wouldn't want to use it anyway.
That's right.
So, but your father, John, was in the Army. He was a photojournalist in the Army.
Yes.
And growing up, you guys always had dark rooms in your house. He was always behind a camera, always
behind a camera, always in the dark room.
And so this time working for his company, it allowed you to follow along with his photography and use his equipment and just grow your love of photography.
Yes, my high school senior project was an entire black and white album of film photos that I took and developed myself. That was a really cool project. I have no idea where that is now to this day, but I'm sure CJ would enjoy looking at it if I can dig it up.
I'd be willing to bet John it knows exactly where that album is and has it stored somewhere.
Probably so.
So, yeah. So, he, I always thought this was cool. You didn't, but I did. He would do a monthly photo of you and Dan.
Kid pics.
And he did that from what age do you remember?
Oh, I was just months old. Yeah. He started a roll of film.
Up until you were 25 or so.
Probably a monthly photo, and it's almost scary and creepy to look at the negatives just month to month to month, just watching your face morph into an adult.
Go from child to adult, but it's still pretty cool. I mean,
it's incredibly cool.
Yeah, just the foresight to think of that.
Yes,
it's not something I would have ever done. But you and your dad are both creatives, and you share that. You can think of things like that I wouldn't, or some people wouldn't, and I think that's where the photography comes in. A little side story here. I think it was CJ was born, so I think it would have been 2016, I believe. You had said, I'm working for Dad, but I just don't have this drive. I think I want to try to get into photography, into wedding photography. And at that time, I think you were running like a Nikon, like a point and shoot almost.
Yeah.
With interchangeable lenses, it was a decent camera, but it wasn't.
It had kit lenses with it.
Right. So, you said, I want to get into photography. Let's go take a photography course, and so I can learn to get off of automatic and learn manual. And you and I went and took this course, and I think relatively quickly I took to the settings, and there was a brief spell, very brief, where you were kind of leaning on me on getting you into the settings.
Yeah.
But even if I had a camera that I had set perfectly, and I gave you a point and shoot, like your point and shoot photos are going to just blow mine out of the water. Like same composition, same everything. It's just there's something in a photographer's eyes that if anybody thinks it's just taking a million pictures, like they have no idea how hard it is to bring an image to life like you can. And very quickly, we got you a good camera. Very quickly, you learned those settings, and now I don't even pay attention. There's no point in me carrying a camera, honestly. And I just remember, like, it went from one wedding to 10 weddings to 40 some weddings in 1 year.
Yeah.
To the point where you said, like, I can't do this. I need to slow myself down.
Well, yeah, jack up prices, slow myself down.
Right. But, I mean, and now you're at a point where you're shooting 30-ish weddings a year, 25? I don't know what your number is.
Between 20 and 25 is my sweet spot with my pricing, so.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I can say from 1,000-foot view, from my vantage point, like, it's just been so fulfilling to you.
Yeah.
I know that the stability you had working for your dad, you know, the every week paycheck was one thing, was nice, but you being able to take that leap of faith in yourself, and seeing how fulfilling it has been to you, and the relationships that you've garnered through that is just incredible. It's funny, we'll go out to a restaurant, or we'll go out to, you know, Target or wherever, and somebody will come up to Rachel and be like, "Oh, hi," and she'll talk to him, and I'm not outwardly, I don't need to talk to people. Like, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I don't go seeking people out. I'm happy just being in my own world. But you can communicate with people, and we'll leave that conversation. I'll go, "Who is that?" And she's like, "Oh, that was one of my bride's sisters from 2017. And I'm like, "How do you remember that person?" Like,
yeah, you just remember some faces. That's definitely not for everyone, but, you know, I must have had a good experience with her if I talked to her in Target.
Well, no, but it's all the time.
Yeah.
It's all the time. You're running into people that you know and recognize, and then it's, you took this friend's photo, this friend's wedding, and then you took the next bridesmaid and the next bridesmaid and the next bridesmaid.
Yes.
So you've really built an incredible business for yourself, and it's been super fun to watch.
Well, I could not have done any of it without your support, first and foremost, but my dad's as well was really nice, and both my parents, and help with CJ when, you know, you're at work and I have a wedding. But yeah, I just, it's hard to comprehend when I think about all the things that happened to build it up to what it is. You know, back in 2016, doing a point and shoot kit camera lens free photo shoot in my backyard, and now I can turn weddings away if I feel like I'm not the right fit. And I actually was told that I am one of Lancaster's top 10 photographers. When you Googled Lancaster County photographers, I'm in the top 10 list, and I had no idea. I've never advertised. I've never, you know, done any sponsored ads or anything like that. But so it's just been really, really, really cool, and I feel really blessed to how, you know, everything fell into place and grew my business to what it is today.
Yeah. And to your dad's credit, you know, you going and saying, "Dad, I'm looking to build a business to move on from you." It was never, "Oh, like, that's unacceptable," or anything.
Not once.
It was, "What can I do?" You know,
what can I do?
Yeah. He bought computers. He probably helped with camera gear along the way. He figured out ways to get you business through his business.
Yes.
And
the great part is we still cross, you know, our careers still cross paths. I mean, I see him every day, but, like, it's still cool because he's like, "Hey, I've got this cool job. It's for great clients of mine. Are you interested?" And I always say yes. And this week I have a shoot with him. So it's cool to be able to work together, and we're both able to do the things that we are best at. And his is storytelling in print, and mine is storytelling through photos.
Yeah, for sure. And he's a great photographer.
Absolutely,
as well.
But he'll be the first one to tell you when he looks at my camera, he's like, "This is so much more confusing than what I, you know, shot with in the Cold War.
and I believe at that time, Vanessa, your sister-in-law, and Dan, they were in wedding videography.
Yes.
And she was just like, go, jump, do it, let's go.
Yes.
She got you off the ground.
Yep.
And so your family has been such an incredible support structure.
Absolutely.
But I think that, so I guess it kind of started with, when we first started dating, you were really good with the Instagram stuff, Instagram photos, which was not even using a good camera at that time, right? It was just your iPhone.
My old Instagram, yep.
And but even there, your passion for photos, taking an iPhone, like what old Instagram was how can I make a photo with my iPhone look good, look appealing, and attract eyes? And you built quite a following. Because of your ability just to use an iPhone. So, and then that morphed obviously into your career, and now it's more. Now you're getting to do some more stuff you kind of want to do, like with us with the Outdoor Rules. You do a lot of awesome photos with that.
Yeah.
I would say from my perspective, and maybe I hadn't considered this. It's because you get rid of me for a week or two, but. Like elopements seem to be your favorite thing to do right now, as far as like wedding photography goes.
Yes.
Going to Wyoming, which Dan and Vanessa moved to Wyoming. So you're going out there to spend some time with Dan and Vanessa and do some weddings out there. And I know you have a passion for that, and it's amazing the work that you bring back with you. Do you have like hopes like for what's next as far as your photography goes?
That's a tough question, simply because the wedding industry is completely morphing. My generation, most of those people are all, married at this point, kids. So this next wave of brides are, they're Gen Zs, and they want different things. Luckily, they still want my style of photography, which is very documentary style. You won't see photos of mine unless they're like in the family portrait section of the wedding day, where it's look here and smile. Like mine is candid, the raw emotion, just being there and paying attention to the things that happen as they happen, so you can capture those memories for them organically, and not like, hey, let's do this again, because then it's not an authentic moment.
No, I think I blinked on that one. Let's do it over.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So that's those memories that you capture organically are the ones that make clients' hearts skip a beat. It's not the staged, all right, everyone look here and smile at the camera. So fortunately, this next wave of brides is still very into that. And I don't know that anyone will ever go back to, let's just pose right here. But they are very much into doing things for the gram. So that actually kind of negates what I just said, because I can't tell you how many content creators I've had to work with on wedding days now. And that's not to be confused with a videographer. A content creator is someone that the couple hires to literally be there with a cell phone and take cell phone footage of things like plain cell phone photos or, raw cell phone film, video. And a lot of times they will have them create reels for them, or, hey, there's this viral TikTok trend that we want to do. And I can't tell you how much time that takes up on a wedding day. I've had a reel that they're making take an hour of the wedding day. And that's all time that you can't get back on your wedding day, all to make a a TikTok video. And if that's what's important to them, that's what's important to them. But, that's the way I'm seeing things, the moving, the way the trend is going. Yes. So they want things to appear in their photos and in their video, candid and authentic and real emotion, but they're willing to give up an hour to 2 hours of their wedding day to create a trending video that a million other brides are doing.
So, that being said, though, you've started to get into digital media management and doing things like creating reels for us for the Outdoor Rules, and now you're expanding into some other businesses. You're expanding into different media areas to just kind of explore and see what you find and like out of that, which has kind of been fun for you. It seems like you're excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like you'd said, digital media managing, the company that you work for, who doesn't have much of a presence right now online, and helping them build that up and giving them content and creating the content. But that's also morphed into doing video. And that's been something I've absolutely just been excited to do, whether it's shoot it or, put it together. And I think it's because, for a decade now, I've told stories through still images. But it's been really, really neat to be able to tell stories of things in video and add in movement and, hey, this is a great shot, but I'm going to add in like this action or, so that's been really cool. Keep an eye out for some cool drone video because that's going to be my next purchase, right, Mark? Right?
I guess that's the plan. I did misspeak there, though. I said you've been doing stuff for Outdoor Rules. Clearly, I'm the digital media manager for Outdoor Rules,
right?
And you've just been following in my tutelage.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all me.
You are the gear guy, though. Here's the thing. I am the one who uses the gear, and I implement it into the creation of what we're making. But I could do none of it without you setting the gear up and explaining it to me first. You're the gearhead, and I love you for that. And we have such a good symbiotic relationship.
I love that once you have it figured out that I don't have to remember, because once it's gone, I don't remember. I figured out the first time, you get it figured out, and then I don't have to remember it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, here, Rachel, fix this for me. So what do you have on like your Mount Everest of photography? Like, what's next? What do you want to do? Is there somewhere you want to go? Is there something you want to do? Is there a way you want to expand?
I have never been huge on this is my bucket list. I've never been huge on bucket list locations. I absolutely love going to cool places. Like you said, I love my time in Wyoming and the regular Yellowstone elopements that I get to do. But I've never been a person to have bucket list spots because, I don't know, maybe just my past experiencing the letdown of never getting to experience those places. I've just never, set my sights on, I'm going to shoot in Scotland because, yeah, that would be amazing. But like realistically, who knows if I'll ever get there. But so I kind of gear more towards achievable goals, and maybe that says something about my character. But, it was just a dream once to photograph in Wyoming. And I think the first time that I ever shot out there was I photographed my brother, Dan, and his wife, Vanessa. And, I ordered like a wedding dress for them, and we had a florist friend make them a bouquet and things like that. And I, shot that, and I was like, hey, who could picture yourselves getting married out here? And the very next year, I booked an elopement for Wyoming, and I've had one every year since. And now it's, kind of like a little niche thing that I have going on. I haven't done elopements in many other spots. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I have so many friends that would, give an arm and a leg to book an elopement in like Utah or something, but I'd much rather stay in Wyoming. I love my people there. I love the locations, and there's something different every time. And I know that I can give my clients just the coolest experience because I'm familiar with it. And I can be like, hey, you should go here to eat this night. Here's a great spot for the morning in the desert, things like that. As far as expanding my business,
You're working on it.
I'm working on it. I'm loving the video side of it. I think it's really exciting to me, and it keeps me creatively inspired because, every creative artist of, any different media will tell you get into ruts and you fall into, writer's block per se. Or you'll be like, man, my pictures suck. And, everybody is saying it to themselves, and they're looking at someone else's work and being like, man, theirs is so good. But someone else is saying the same thing about your work. So finding ways to stay creatively inspired is so important if you are a creative as a career. Mixing in video, and it's been really fun, helping like family-owned businesses that aren't, creative or tech savvy, doing that for them. And so that's been really cool, and I'm enjoying exploring this side of things.
I think it's okay too to say, I think we've asked this question on the podcast before. Is like what's our fish or what's our animal to go hunt, and it's kind of a similar question, I guess. But it's okay to say, I really enjoy getting to spend a bunch of time in archery season, time at deer camp and rifle, and time in the winter and muzzleloader season, which takes up a large chunk of my time off. I love that. I'd love to shoot a moose, but if I never shoot a moose, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to be okay with that. And I think that's probably, you and I are similar in that way. I'm putting in elk points for Wyoming. Someday I'll probably get out there, but it's not like,
if it doesn't happen,
we don't live our lives in a way that like we're disappointed when we don't. We're okay being okay. I guess is the way to put that. And I think that in that you've found a way to like continue to just put out incredible work for people. And I think some people maybe, and probably it happens with hunting too. I really, really wanted to draw X, Y, or Z and didn't, and it gets you down, and then everything else falls short of that goal. Where I'd rather, I'm happier now saying like I want to make CJ the best whitetail hunter she can be,
sure,
type of deal. And then with your photography and with your answer there, it's like you're happy putting out extremely high quality work. And
and for me it's the most rewarding experiences. Well, yes, they're cool. I've had my work used for Sitka and Birch Barrel and Yeti, and I've been published in Rocky Mountain Bride and Green Wedding Shoes, but those are all super cool. Or getting to, shoot in epic locations in Yellowstone. But I still think some of the most rewarding things about what I do are when people reach out and they're like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you took some of the very last photos of my grandfather that we had, and he was dancing and just having the best time at our wedding. And you were there to capture that, and you captured that in a way that like really caught his essence. And, we can't thank you enough for that. I I had a grandmother reach out to me on Facebook maybe only 2 or 3 weekends ago, and she goes, "Thank you so much for the beautiful photos of my grandson on his wedding day." And I got to tell you, that's just so cute and rewarding and much better than, shooting at Horseshoe Bend in Utah, in my opinion, of a, couple that I don't really know that well or whatever. But it's giving people their memories frozen that they can always have, and their kids can show their grandkids in 50, 60 years. That's kind of what I like to aim for.
Yeah, your connection to your subject matter is it shines through in all of your work. I know there was a couple who, and I don't know if I'll get this story 100% correct, but I believe the father was ill, and they didn't think he was going to make it more than a month. So you went and you did a photo shoot with them, and they got married. Yes, I'll go do this for you.
They got married in the VA hospital.
They got married in the VA hospital.
Hospitalized at.
And the whole family was there. He pulled through, and then just before the wedding,
their real wedding with all of their guests, yes,
the mother passed unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And I saw the toll, you crying over a mother of a bride, someone who, you know them, and you but it's not somebody, it's somebody who you have a professional relationship with.
Sure.
But the heart that you have just shines through in your work, I think. And seeing that, knowing that you care deeply about the subject of the photo. And I think that's what makes, to me, what makes your images just pop. Because anybody can click a shutter on a camera and take a photo. But getting that image of those people, I think there's some heart that is involved with that's where I don't have that in me, but you do. You're a compassionate person like that. And I just think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, growing up, so your mother is full German, was born in Germany.
Yep.
I believe we told this story, right?
Yeah.
There was some disagreement with Mike and I. We didn't think the story was told, but your father was in the Army.
Yep, he was stationed in Germany.
Your father who will be on the podcast at some point for a very interesting story about one of the many things he's done in his life. But he grew up a preacher's child, a preacher's kid, a PK as they call him.
Mm-hmm.
And as many PKs do, he had a wild side. And then he decided he needed to not be wild anymore, so he joined the Army.
Yes.
Became a photojournalist. Got stationed in Germany during the Cold War.
Yep.
Right around the end of the Cold War.
I believe so.
And again, we think we've told this story on the podcast, correct?
I'm pretty sure that in the girls episode, Girls Rule, I'm pretty sure I told this, and it's Nicholas Sparks' love story.
Yeah, right. So he runs into her in a train. She gives him a fake name. He calls every name in the phone book under that fake name.
Now, that fake name in German would have been like Lisa Smith here. Super
very,
generic.
Very, very generic common name.
Yes.
So there were a lot of them in the phone book.
Hundreds.
She felt so guilty, she came to the base and left him a note, and then...
But she couldn't pronounce his last name with her German accent. So she's walking out of the base because they're like, "Lady, we have no clue who you're talking about." And
your dad walked by.
He might have just happened to walk by to get his mail or something, and the other soldiers are like, "Wait a minute. I bet you she was trying to say Bastion." And so they told him that there was this German chick here asking for him. And I guess as he tells it, he went sprinting after her, and right before she left the gates to get back on the train, he met up with her. And the rest is history. They got married and moved back to the United States 3 months later, and they have been married for 40 years, maybe? Almost 40? Or over 40?
Over 40 now.
I'm a terrible child.
No, I don't. Mom and Dad have been married for a long time. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So, But because of that, you got to spend a lot of time. We were both blessed with parents who took us on a lot of travels, but you got to spend a lot of time in Germany.
Yes.
Like months and months, whole summers.
Yep. We would go over. There were a couple times when we were, maybe like 9 or 10 that we would go over ourselves nonstop flight. That was back in the 90s where, your parents could go to the gate with you and be like, all right, flight attendants, these are our 2 children. Make sure they get off the plane in Stuttgart. And they did. But there were other times where my mom would go over with us for the summer when she was teaching, and we would be there at my grandma's house for the entire summer. And my dad would pop in halfway through and spend some time, and then we'd do some traveling over there, France, Italy, Spain, Austria, things like that. But having the German household, my grandparents were there. My great-grandparents, until they passed away, were also there. Aunts and uncles, all in the same big house, but everyone had, different floors. So I got to spend all my summer days with my cousins and my German relatives, just, running the neighborhoods in Germany, and just really special times there.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. And then you did some travel as a kid in the States too, or?
Yeah, we had done some road trips, Colorado. Drove out there and back. We were in Kansas and actually saw a tornado, which was really cool. We had to go down into the basement of the motel. My mom didn't think it was so cool, but I remember thinking highly of that experience. And then I did a lot of solo traveling in my early 20s before I met you. I did a cross-country road trip. I drove out to Wyoming and did Yellowstone and then Glacier, and I had a Jeep that I slept in. I would drive a lot, on the main highways. I'd drive at night, sleep during the day in the parking lots so as not to, attract any unsavory attention as a female traveling on her own. But then I'd stay in the KOAs right outside of Yellowstone and Glacier, and had a good camera along for that. And that was just the most life-giving experience. I highly suggest people do some solo traveling and, Walter Mitty finding themselves type trips.
Yeah. I think we found each other. We were both a little bit older. It wasn't like high school sweethearts, so
yeah,
that kind of played into our story a little bit and made. I think we, everything happens for a reason type of deal.
Yep.
And we found each other at the perfect time. Do you have a photo that you took that when you think of it, like you're like, dang, like I nailed it? Or like, do you have a favorite photo of yours that you've taken? Is there a photo that you think like when you're on, obviously everybody goes up and down, but when you're on one of your, good days where you're like, that's.
I'd say, there's a specific shot of a groom sobbing, seeing his bride walking down the aisle, and his little brother is also sobbing, and he's, white knuckle gripping his shoulder. And that happened split second. And I remember capturing that and being like, that's going to be something. And that's one of the ones that was published in Green Wedding Shoes. And that one, I'm pretty sure like every venue who's ever had me at like a vendor show or something, that's been like their banner image of me. And it's a black and white, which is cool because my style is pretty signature in and of themselves. I'll have people tell me all the time, well, I saw this photo and I knew instantly it was yours.
Yeah, I can see a photo.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can see a photo pop up and I'm like, oh, there's one on Rachel's. We'll be at like, because at church they have some of your photos posted,
mm-hmm.
or people on Facebook that I know that that I didn't even know you took their photos. The photo will come up and I'm like, oh, I didn't know Rachel took their photos.
Yeah. But I don't know. I really kind of created a little niche for myself with Blue Hour. There aren't a lot of photographers who enjoy shooting in Blue Hour because it's like everybody likes golden hour, but I've found the beauty of it, and I've had many people come up to me and be like, hey, would you mind telling me, like, what are your settings for blue hour? Like, how does it look so good when you do it, but I shoot it and I just hate it? And so that's kind of been a cool thing for me. So I have a lot of couples at this point, they know that about my work, and they'll be like, hey, actually, let's bypass golden hour and let's go out for blue hour during our reception instead of golden hour. So that's cool. And you end up attracting the kind of clients that fit your vibe. Like, I'm not light and airy. I'm not super dark and moody, but just kind of funky and filmy and in between. So, but as far as other specific photos, I really like that photo I took at deer camp when we did the long exposure and the stars. That was really fun too, because we did that together, and we, you have to have long exposure, and then someone's got to be inside popping a light on for 1 split second, because any longer than that and it's overexposed. But
I bet we did that 30 times.
30 times.
That was fun though. Like, I think there's a photo of me and CJ at deer camp in the snow, in the fire, that I always think of. I love that photo that you've taken.
Yeah, I love another one up at deer camp of her is her. She's probably only 2 or 3. She was in, like, the full onesie snowsuit, mittens, but she's got a grandpa's hand in each of her mittens' hands, where she's walking down Big Moore's Run in the snow, and she's got Poppy on one little mitten hand and my dad, Grampy, on the other little mittened hand, and I absolutely love that. And they're both looking down at her, and she's just got the pacifier in her mouth, just walking straight ahead. But I don't know. I just struggle to find one specific image with things, just because of how I learned how to tell a story from my dad. It's not, just the one photo. I think my website is like, it's not just it's the big feelings within the little moments and things like that, something along those lines. But it's the whole, all the photos together that tell the story of, it's not just even on a wedding day. We'll go out for a hunt and I'll be taking photos of just the most random things. But when you stitch it together in this post or this blog or whatever, like, that's what tells the story. It's not just this grip and grin of someone after they harvested something. It's the collection of the memories that, tell a story.
Yeah. I don't think we have that in common. Really, all of us aren't. I'm not, like, Mike asked me the other day, he's like, where's a picture of your buck, like a grip and grin? I'm like, I don't have one. Like, I'm not, it's never been, there's so much more interesting stuff to me, photo-wise, of a harvest than a grip and grin. And there's a place for them. I'm not taking a shot at anybody. We've all done them.
Absolutely.
We'll all do them, but there's,
the loading in the deer with the whole family together.
Right.
Those are the ones.
Right.
The ones where
filling out the tag over the shoulder.
Yeah.
The hooves being drug in the leaves as this, the leaves are parted where the hooves are dragging, stuff like that.
You have some prideful photography moments, because there's some awesome photos of CJ helping me, or maybe it was her buck, but she and I were dragging a buck together in the headlights. Those photos are awesome, and they're definitely some of my favorite, and you took those.
Well, you set the camera up for me. I loved my content. So
Your subjects.
My subjects. So,
yeah.
That came out in the photography, I would say. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Not even a little bit.
Please. You did great. Well, I would just say, Rachel, that in all seriousness, as far as the outdoor rules stuff goes, being the forced into position digital media manager, I would not be surviving without you doing everything, mostly everything. And I'm trying to learn. I think I'm doing okay. I still haven't made a reel yet, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Why would I make a reel when I have you?
Yeah, I know. Love that for me.
I love that for you. But I think that this whole podcast is Mike's pride and joy and his baby, but and I've really enjoyed being on the journey with him. But I will say that the grace that you and Caitlin have shown, putting up with us being gone for large chunks of our time, answering questions when it comes to digital media management or creating shirts or logos or what content we should do. You guys have been very understanding, and we appreciate it. I speak for Mike here, but
yeah, I know. But seeing how it's drawn the family together has just been so cool. I don't have a large extended family. My brother lives across the country. So seeing your family pull together for that and, knowing at any given time that you're on the phone, which is a lot, it's with one of your siblings. And I do love that. Even though I give you heck for it. Sometimes I'm like, Matt's calling again. He just got off the phone with you.
Yeah, but that would have nothing to do with the podcast. Matt would be calling me anyway.
I know. But,
especially in hunting season.
But I just think it's so cool. And just hearing your stories and the laughter that always stems from, conversations that wouldn't have been brought up had it not been for this podcast is just really cool as an outsider, even though I'm not an outsider, but, I'm not an OG.
Well, none of us are. The OGs are all the uncles in this category, which
yeah.
I'm blessed that you got to spend some time at deer camp with Al and Sim. I don't know if you were ever there with Uncle Dick, but you can attest that our storytelling pales in comparison to what to the webs that Al could spin.
Oh my, yes.
But no, it's funny 13 years later after seeing a beautiful girl with a whitetail, a babe with a whitetail. What did you want me to say?
I don't know.
And then you told me that sounded like I was a creepy 50-year-old.
Yeah, hot babe.
A hot babe with a buck.
That's only after you call me a beautiful young woman.
Okay. That we started with pheasant hunting dates and ice fishing too. Now we're taking our daughter pheasant hunting and ice fishing. I'm just so blessed to have this life with you.
And I love that she is like, let's get this shot, and she's
she's gonna have it, I think. So
yeah.
Well, Rachel, I thank you for being on the podcast as much as you didn't want to be here. You did wonderfully, and I appreciate you.
Is this where I'm supposed to say thanks for having me? Thanks for having me. Love you, Mike.
Or you could give the mad answer. Yup.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. As always, you can check us out on outdoorrules.com. Which was also designed by Rachel, I believe, right? Didn't you do the website?
I might have helped Mike, but...
you and Mike collaborated.
Yeah.
You can find us on Instagram where 100% of the good posts were made by Rachel.
I think that's pretty accurate.
And you're only saying that because I'm the digital media manager.
That's
you don't
right.
care if you hurt my feelings.
That's right.
The Instagram is @OutdoorRules. And on Facebook, which is Outdoor Rules. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Love you.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor Rules.